Good evening, John Augustine here. Hope I find you well after the dull, windy, kind of a rainy day. Light and Leven, Leven. The challenges of the late in the 21st century. Bishop Joseph E. Strickland from a diocese in Tyler called Tyler, Tyler, in East Texas. And I'm paraphrasing now some other chapter that I read of his what he said until he get permission. And so he said like that about a lot of corruption in the church, unfortunately. And he mentioned that he was at an ad limina visit. That means all the bishops in the United States and archbishops and that are going to the Vatican to be give the report and be whatever it is that happens at these visits. But his overall impression was that it was too pleasant, having regard for the state of the Catholic Church in the United States, hemorrhaging believers that had been a vibrant church in his young days. But with the way things went, people wanted to be doing their own thing, and then the corruption in the church. He asked about Cardinal McCarrick and the corruption that was there. And he got an answer, but he didn't get any report. But I think a report come out eventually. But it has lost its impetus. If it's too long coming, it begins to look like I don't know what. And and he reckoned that where the corruption starts is 3 items: sex, money, and power. And Cardinal McCarrick, unfortunately, was very adept at raising money, so it gave him power and influence. As a matter of fact, I think he was the one that went to China and had some responsibility for this arrangement with the Vatican and China. Not considered a very poor outcome. And I think he was behind that, so it doesn't say much, does it? And people have criticised any dealings with communists because they don't respect what they sign to, don't appear to, and they persecute people of belief. And apparently, young people are not allowed now to learn the foundation for the Catholic faith, but the underground church is still active. And Cardinal Zen of Hong Kong was one critic of the policy of dealing handsome with the communists. He had plenty of experience at them, and he suffered at their hands recently. 80-year-old cardinal, and he got nowhere when he tried to raise it with the Vatican. They wouldn't even see him. So these are the problems, and so Bishop Strickland was kind of surprised at and disappointed with some of the events that were like the business of the Amazon Synod, the Amazon business, with all these dancing around some kind of a false image, like an evil image, and then being going to the Vatican. And of course, some Catholic stole those yokes who were in the Vatican in a prominent place, stole them and dumped them into the Tiber, and they were rescued. But he'd already made his views known, and a lot of people weren't too happy with that outcome and some other outcomes as well. So this is the confusion, I'm afraid, that sometimes we just unfortunately notice. And it's the way, the truth, and the life what Jesus preached. That's the message that is relevant today as it was then. And the Catholic Church had tough start with the persecutions of these emperors, and many Catholics being crucified by being treated terrible in these arenas and mauled by lions and such stuff. It's absolutely dreadful. So that's the background, and he reckons that the church is just as more severe under attack today with the modern methods of communication, and it's been attacked on all sides. But the way, the truth, and the life is still there. Jesus promised that the gates of hell, Satan would never prevail against it. But it doesn't mean that you can relax. You've still got to sort of do what you're supposed to do. And as a bishop, he tries to be a father to his priests. And one thing that he mentioned was he was one of the last bishops to be consecrated by Pope Benedict before he resigned. And he was just about to celebrate Mass. And by the way, he regarded himself, yeah, he was about to celebrate Mass when a deacon told him that Pope Benedict was about to resign, and he thought it was fake news, but unfortunately it wasn't. And he looked at the news and saw Pope Benedict leaving the Vatican and going to the papal residence in Castel Gandolfo. And always popes used to go there in the summer because Rome would be roasting, and Castel Gandolfo was a bit cooler. But I think this Pope Francis has not gone to Castel Gandolfo. So he's unique in the sense that he hasn't gone there, which the people to be grateful in that area for the Pope being there in the hot summer and all that. So he, he felt like that he was lucky to be appointed, and he tries to be a father. He is a father to his priests in the diocese, and tries to meet them and talk to them, not just be so absorbed in administration that he only deals with them when there's a problem. He tries to talk to them and find out their hobbies and all the rest of it, and know them as persons, and of course priests, and encourage them to be faithful priests. But it doesn't mean that they didn't have problems here and there. He mentioned that, and you can't go through life without encountering them, but you have to deal with issues that people. He mentioned that priests that are having problems with this, that, and the other, and kind of inclinations towards what's not considered good for a priest. The first focus is to prayer and being celibate and doing God's work. There's a moving foot now, irrespective of what Bishop Strickland is saying, for married priests. But I think the first thing would be deacons in every church to help the priest, because priests now, the vocations is not as good as they should be. But funny enough, the vocations where the Latin Rite Mass is celebrated is buoyant. And that tells you something, but the Vatican seems to try to restrict celebration of the Latin Rite Mass, which is a terrible pity, because that is the way it was celebrated when I was young, and even up until I was nearly 30, before Vatican II, and it didn't change that. But those people that had an agenda did change it, and with the result that it had disastrous consequences. But they haven't come back to the drawing board to go back to basics. So Bishop Strickland has, learned, and he couldn't believe that the Cardinal Ratzinger had resigned. He didn't think Pope resigned, but that he couldn't do it, and he hoped that the Pope Francis would do a job of trying to deal with all the problems besetting the church in the modern times. Um, so, so these are the issues, and that but he's following what is laid down, and doing the work because you still have to do the work. And that's more or less what he was saying. So he's a great bishop, and loved him much more like him, so giving us the strength to continue. But we continue anyway, and we'll continue the way we're going. And the great gift of the Catholic faith and the sacraments and all the rest of it. So, Manuel, that's what he was more or less talking about, that there's challenges, and but you have to keep going because Jesus said the gates of hell would not prevail against us. And we believe that, no matter what way it's going, that there's good, true practicing Catholics that hold on to the faith and know what needs to be done, and would love to see the Latin Rite more celebrated widely, and to see the priest facing the tabernacle, and perhaps priests saying Mass in English or whatever they're saying it in, face the tabernacle, not turn their back on it. That's what you would think that those in charge would be advocating, but they don't seem to have any view on the family rosary to be promoted. They don't hear any of that. But we know that that's the great gift of the Holy Rosary, and when we say it ourselves every day, and the Chaplet of Mercy and the Station of the Cross, these are the great gifts, and they get you to focus on what you're at. So God bless, and keep the faith and keep going. I'll be doing a little Let's Talk later on. I'm going to go down that road and talk a little bit more. Okay, bye now, and I'll be doing my hymns after this, and then I'll be doing Let's Talk after that. That's a new little departure.